And we're live. You lot wanted him back, so I've tried my best, and I have to big up Laurie. He's back again. How you doing, my boy?
I'm all right, man. It's a lovely day. I was out earlier. Isn't London a beautiful place when the sun's out?
Yeah, until we start complaining about the weather, we've had enough of it, man. You can't please us Londoners, but you're right. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day to discuss Arsenal, win, lose, or draw. It's a beautiful time to have a conversation with you. Before I carry on, people, obviously, you know Laurie's face. Missed it. One of the linchpins of AFTV. He does have his own channel. It is in the title. Give the guy some likes, some subscribes, and support our own, man. But yeah, man, to be honest, we've got a lot to discuss. But the first thing I want to ask you is actually not in relation to Liverpool. PSG, man, like second leg, we went out. How did you feel?
Well, naturally, I was disappointed at the result. I do think in the second game, we were a lot more competitive. I thought we played well for about the first 20 minutes. But as you know, Deluded, when you're on top, especially against the better teams, you have to score. And unfortunately, we didn't take our chances. And the game kind of played out the way many people thought it would. We did get a goal, but obviously PSG scored a couple and went through. Personally, I thought PSG were the better team over the two leagues. I thought they deserved to go through. And what I would say as well, what that whole Champions League campaign showed me was that at the very top level, we're still not there yet. You know what I mean? I guess it's a pretty obvious thing to say. I know the manager, he made some comments which I totally disagree with. He thought that we were not only the better team against PSG, but he seemed to think that we were the best team in the competition, which I must say I found those comments utterly bizarre. I mean, how can you lose both legs of a semi-final? We didn't even finish top of the group stages. And yeah, we've gone out and you're saying we're the best team in the competition. I just didn't get that. Maybe you will be able to.
No, I'm confused, my guy. I was going to ask you, why do you think he said that? Because a part of me thinks it's a bit of sour grapes being a sore loser. Part of me thinks it's fighting talk. You know, you want to kind of protect your players at a delicate time. Statistically, I guess there's some statistics you can lay claim, but come on, man. Like the best team wins it. And like you said there,
there's only one statistic that matters, mate.
Exactly.
3 and we scored 1. And in answer, I mean, I've heard people using that XG argument and the rest.
That doesn't. Who cares about that?
Mean nothing, man. It means diddly squat. If you look at the two games, bro, like you know this. Yes, especially in the second game, we created more shots, you know, on goal than them. But if you look at it in another light, they had more shots on target than us, which is, you know what I mean? That tells you pretty much everything you need to know. And just look at the optics of the two games. To me, PSG looked a better team, bro. I'm not, you know what I mean? There's nothing wrong in saying that. I mean, to me, the manager's comments gave me the kind of feel of a man that's under a bit of pressure. He knows he's under a bit of pressure. He knows we're not going to win anything this season, having gone out of the Champions League. He knows people are going to be coming for him. I thought that those comments were the comments of somebody that's feeling the pressure. So he's trying to find something to, you know what I mean, throw out there to try and placate some of the fans. But if anything, it had the opposite effect, because I'll be honest with you, man, it sounded a bit disingenuous. You know what I mean? You've been beaten both times, home and away, and then you're claiming that you were the better team. And not only that, you're doubling down in your Liverpool press conference saying that we were the best team in the competition. It just sounded like whack, bro. I'm not going to lie. You know what I mean? It did.
I think you're right. Personally, I hear him. Even if Mikel Arteta is right, I'd love to ask him off the record, like, would you trade places with either Inter or PSG? I'm sure he would. Like, they're in the final. One of them's going to win it. Yeah, you could say the best team doesn't always win the Prem or the Champs, but then I could caveat that with it does, because you've obviously gone all the way and done it. You mentioned pressure quite a few times there, yeah. And I think he's under pressure externally. But do you really think he's under pressure? Because a man signed a new deal. Obviously, there's mitigating factors as to why our season's there. For as many people that want the guy gone or think he's past his time, there's also a lot of supporters. So, like, do you really think he's under pressure?
You know what? That is a very good question. Shout out to you for that. And the way I would answer that is this, right? So it's a 50-50 one. So I think he's definitely under pressure as far as the fans are concerned. I mean, it's interesting that I went to Tesco's this morning and I bumped into a couple of fans, and you know what I mean? It was interesting, their opinions. We'll touch on that later. So yeah, I would say that he's definitely under pressure with the vast majority of the fans. However, I don't think that same pressure applies to the board. who is ultimately his employers. There's no way they're going to get rid of him. Like I was at the game on Sunday, right? And there were fans, especially before the game. And they were saying, listen, man, if we, you know what I mean, he's got to go, this, that, rear. I said, look, there's no way. I mean, the man's just recently signed a contract at Arsenal, extending his contract, his original.
50 million a year. They're not ripping
making him one of the highest paid managers in the world. They're not gonna like throw him out now. I mean, obviously the season's ended disappointingly, but they're not gonna get rid of him now. What I would say though, and this kind of happened to Wenger, if it gets to like halfway through next season, it looks like we're not going to win anything, or we're not improving, or maybe the club's stagnating or even regressing. If you get to a situation where the fans now start openly protesting, especially by, you know, not going to games and stuff like that, and you start seeing
thumbs on seats, the cronkies are like, what's going on here?
Yeah. Then ultimately these guys are money men. They will look at that and think, rah, man, you know what I mean? The franchise is losing money. How long can we put up with that? So yeah, that's what I would say to that. So yeah, I think the pressure is more with the fans than it is with the board.
I think you're right there, man. I think it's more external pressures. You know, we all watch the Sky Sports and them kind of things, and we all have the talks, like you said, whether in Tesco's or a pub or whatever. I think it's more externally than internally. That's not to say there isn't any. Do you think it's a bad thing though if he isn't under pressure? Because you know what they say, pressure is a privilege. Of course, I think he puts pressure on himself. I think the players want to. Obviously, you could caveat that with, you know, maybe convincing Saka and Saliba to sign new deals. Do you think it's a bad thing if he's not under a bit of pressure? Because you look at Real Madrid.
Listen, man, I mean, when you're managing Arsenal Football Club, which, let's face it, is one of the biggest clubs in the world as far as football is concerned, the pressure, that's what comes with the territory. That's why he's getting paid all that money. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, you have to be held accountable, not just to the board, but to the fans as well. And if the fans feel that, you know what I mean, they're not getting value for money, or they feel that the club is underachieving, it's incumbent upon the fans to let him know. I mean, it's interesting because, like, you speak to some fans and they're very vocal. They voice their, you know what I mean, displeasure. And then you get another section of the fan base, oh, girl, you lot, this and that. But, like, bro, it's not a cult. You know what I mean?
It's a mixed bag, man.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Why can't you criticize the club? I mean, as long as you, this is how I stay, yeah, Deluded. I'm more than happy. No one is above praise and no one's below criticism. So,
facts.
If you want to criticize somebody, that's fine to me. I've criticized the players, but I've also given them praise. One thing I would say, and this is something that I try to abide by, I never try to make it personal. So some people will criticize, say, for example, Odegaard, and they will say, oh, he had a shit game. And then they'll go on to call him all kind of names. That's not what I do. That's not, I like to think I'm bigger than that. So if I'm criticizing him, I'm criticizing him on his performance or lack thereof. I don't do all the name calling and this and that.
It's childish.
I try myself not to do that stuff because I just don't think that's appropriate. But again, everyone's different, you know what I mean? In the heat of the moment, you know.
But it gets childish though. I'm with you with that. You don't need to do any of that. Like, by all means, criticize the football. You don't need to. We all know the slurs that get thrown around. It's childish, and that you call the team emotional, but then you're showing emotions like unnecessarily.
Yeah, exactly. So, for example, I did a show on my channel the other day in which I spoke about Mikel Arteta's comments. And I said that I thought the comments were disingenuous. I thought they were deflective. I said that, you know what I mean, he was slightly delusional. But I never personalized it. I never said he is an idiot or a fool or a dickhead or whatever. I just focused on the comments. I said, look, those comments to me are bang out of order. But I also said, look, man, the man's a good manager. It's just that I think the problem we've got as Arsenal fans is we all know that he's well, most of us anyway, 90% of the fan base would readily acknowledge that Mikel Arteta is a good manager. However, one trophy in 5 years, close to 750 million spent. Let's be honest, a disappointing campaign. Went out of both domestic cups disappointingly. The league campaign fell away. In my view, the league was lost back in February when we lost at home to West Ham. That was the day when I said, "No." You're a
lot nicer than me, Laurie, man. I think it was lost in the summer transfer market.
Well, yeah, I hear that. But to me, the nail in the coffin, you can't be losing at home to West Ham. You remember West Ham as well at that time. The West Ham fans were going in on Potter saying, "Yo, man."
There was pressure.
Yeah. And he's come to the Emirates and he's beaten us in a game that we had to win. And after that day, I thought, you know what, it's not going to happen this season. It's not, even though statistically and mathematically we were not out of it, but to all intents and purposes, to me, it was gone. So we got to be honest and say the Champions League campaign was good. I actually predicted, Deluded, at the start of the season that we'd get to the semi-final.
Give me the lottery numbers, man. You're predicting the wrong things, my boy.
And I did say that we'd finish second if we didn't buy a striker, which we didn't. I remember saying at the start of the season, when the guys at AFTV, we did a show, and we always asked to give our opinions on what we would do in this season. I said, look, I think we'll finish second in the league, because if we don't get a striker, I can't see us overhauling City. So I said that. I said Champions League, I could see us getting to the semi-final, because I actually said I think our style of football is very suited to European football.
Heard that a lot, to be fair.
Yeah, I actually said that. But what I did think, though, is that we would win one of the domestic cups. I honestly thought that we would win either the Carabao or the FA Cup. In the end, we went out disappointingly both competitions. I was at the Newcastle game when we got put out, and that was poor. And then against Man United, against, let's be honest, a poor Man United team, we lost on penalties to them. We should have beaten them that day. We had loads of chances, squandered them. So overall, the season has not been great. I mean, the saving grace was the Champions League. But let's be honest, man, it wasn't a good campaign. And I do think that going into next season, there's a lot to reflect on, man.
You just mentioned it. There's a lot to reflect on. And obviously, you're not Mikel Arteta, nor are you a coach. But, like, what do you think? Yeah, so, but you're not alone, man. You're not alone. I probably would have wasted it all on things I can't speak on. But, like, why has it gone like this then for you? Like, what are the reasons as to why we ultimately ended trophyless? Because I actually feel this campaign, bar the Champions League, you know, that I wasn't like you. I didn't think we'd get to the semis. I actually cut the club the most. It's kind of excuses that just get into the knockout stages and kind of play it by ear. Premier League definitely wanted it to be a bit better than this. I'm with you in that I genuinely thought we could get to win a domestic cup. As you said there, United, we didn't do what needed to be done. Got to a semis against Newcastle. But it's like, for you, why, like, what do you put this season down to, or what's the overriding factor? Because it's another one for me where kind of what you said there. I think Mikel Arteta is a good coach, but the question marks are you a winning coach? And until you get over the line, I ain't got a leg to stand on and say, yeah, you are a winning coach, because 3 different seasons, 3 very different contexts. The underlying factor is there's no silverware. So it's like, what's gone wrong this season then, especially in the Premier League? Because
recruitment,
it's
man.
terrible.
Recruitment, I think that was the first and foremost. That was the biggest thing. I mean, listen, you can make a case about the injuries, because there's no doubt we have been adversely affected by injuries. You look at the injuries to the likes of Havertz, Saka, Jesus, you know what I mean, Gabriel, you know what I mean? Yeah, we've definitely...
Rice now.
Yeah, but then so have other clubs been affected by injuries adversely. So you can't really use that as an excuse per se. But you listen, you said it yourself, Deluded, a few minutes ago, not investing, and I call it investing. It's not just buying. You're investing in a top quality striker. Once you didn't fill that big gaping hole in the squad, it was very unlikely. I mean, you're asking Havertz and them, man, to get 20+ season. He's never done that in his career, and he's no disrespect, but it's very unlikely that he's going to do that. He's just not that guy, bro. You know what I mean? Like most teams, I know occasionally teams have, City have done it a couple of seasons ago where they won a title without an established number 9. But the minute they got Haaland in that club, man, you know,
they've done the treble.
Yeah, and we haven't had that for some time now. Jesus is a good player, but he's not a gunman. You know what I mean?
He's not a killer.
Havertz is a decent player. He's not a gunman. And once we didn't strengthen in that area, especially in January when we could have got Ollie Watkins and we didn't, I kind of knew that it was going to play out this way. And then you look at our season as well. Like, so 14 draws we've had in 36 games. Now, you think about it, a lot of those games, right? A lot of those games were games that we should have won. What was the reason why we didn't win the games? Because we didn't take our chances.
And we didn't kill the games, yeah.
Chances because you haven't got the players to do that.
We should be crying about a lack of clean sheets in a lot of these games, not from 3 points to 1 and whatnot. Like, as this comment says, 21 points dropped from winning positions. It's unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Palace game. Threw that away. There's been several games.
Bournemouth recently as well.
Yeah. So if you haven't got a striker of the top level, it's you know what I mean. It's a very difficult. I mean, look at Newcastle. They got Isak. Look at the difference he's made to them.
They could finish second if they win their next 2 games. You know.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, they've already beaten us 3 times this season, so who's to say they won't? I hope
got them on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. So if you haven't got a top striker, man, it's very, very difficult. The Premier League, man, is a really difficult league to win. There's lots of games, very physical. You're always going to get injuries with that.
A lot of games as well.
Stuff like that. You're in other competitions, man. It's brutal. So you need the squad. And once you don't invest in recruitment and bring in the right guys, difficult, man. And I think that's where we went wrong. With regards to the manager, listen, man, he came very close last season. So I do think that he's probably capable of winning one of the major honours, although he's yet to prove it, hasn't he? Because he's not really... I mean, he won the FA Cup, and that was a big achievement for him. But that wasn't with his squad either, you know what I'm saying? So he needs to build a squad that is capable of winning major honours.
Do you think it's just a case of recruitment? Like you slap a striker in, a left winger in, as maybe a centre mid, some would say, and we win a league? Or do you think there's stuff Arteta has to evolve or do differently tactically? Because some people say he ain't got a plan B.
No, I'm one of them. I think the lack
so am I.
Is palpable.
He lives by his sword, died by his sword, and that has its gifts, but it also has curses.
Guys, right? I'm not being funny. To me, I think he overthinks games. I think he's very meticulous in his approach. You can see that. He's a deep thinker about the game. I'm sure he knows way more about the game than the likes of me. So
and me as well, 100%.
So, you know what I mean? I'm not questioning him there. What I see with him, though, he's very tunnel vision in his approach. And he will just believe that that's going to work all the time. And I'm thinking, yo, bro, you need to...
It's not how life, let alone football, works.
Yeah, his in-game management at times for me doesn't work because he's not proactive and he's not reactive enough. He will let games drift. The amount of times as fans, we saw it in the PSG game in particular, that second game, like, you need a goal, bro. You got Wanyeri on the bench, you got options, you're not using them. And if you do, you're bringing them on with like 4 or 5 minutes to go. What do you expect the youth to do with 6 minutes left, literally? And then, you know what I'm saying, like, we play a certain style. You know what I mean? The passing stuff and the control passing and rare, which is fine when it works. But then when it's not working, there seems to be no plan B. We don't take enough shots on goal. Sometimes we're not direct enough.
Facts.
And over the course of a 38-game season, you're coming up against all these different teams with different styles. A lot of the teams as well, they were sitting deep, low block. You know what I mean? You saw it the weekend.
And he hasn't found a way against the low blocks as well.
Yeah, you have to find a way. And sometimes it just doesn't feel that he's doing that. You know what I mean? So, listen, man, I guess it's a learning process for him also. I would hope that in the close season, he will sit down and think, right, you know, how can I improve as a manager? You know what I'm saying? Forget about the players. How can I improve my in-game management? Because if you're going to win things, man, you have to be able to think on the fly. I mean, I won't give him some credit. I mean, I'll give you a positive example where he did get it right was the game against Liverpool. Now, I was at that game. First half, we was in danger of getting blown off the pitch, mate. You know what I mean?
Could have been 4-0 very easily.
Could have been. Listen, there was a man next to me saying, "Yeah, anyhow it carries on like that in the second half, I'm going home."
That's cutting out, man.
Right? But to be fair to the manager, he put Martinelli through the middle, and immediately we got a goal, and that worked. You know what I'm saying? So those are the types of things as fans that we want to see. The manager thinking, like, how can I get a tune out of this slot? How can I change the formation or bring on some subs that's going to affect the game positively? The subs are always like for like, always in the latter stages of the game. You're talking 75.
When the game's kind of gone.
Yeah, when the game's pretty much finished. It's almost unfair to bring a guy on, right, after the 80th minute and expect him to change. But what's he going to do in 10 minutes? Going to take you about 2 or 3 minutes just to get up to the speed of the game.
Need to get a couple touches in and get ready and up to speed.
How many times have you seen a guy come off the bench and his first couple of touches, he's either underhit it, overhit it, you know what I mean, been tackled because they're not up to speed. They've been sitting down for like 70, 80 minutes, and then you're bringing them on and you're expecting them to ghost past, man. Nah, it don't work that way.
And especially when you haven't got, like, respectfully to the subs, like, even it would be difficult, but like, even if you had, I don't know, a Mo Salah on the bench or someone crazy, then I might kind of hear it. And you will get a couple of times across the season, like Reece Nelson off the bench against Bournemouth, you're a bit of a hero, and Ketia was notorious for that. But 9 times out of 10, it really and truly isn't going to happen. You touched on the Liverpool game. Did you see Mikel Arteta's post-game comments? I actually felt he was a bit hard. I think there's been times where I want him to be harsh on the boys, and he's not. I actually think watching the game, he was quite harsh on the players, man. I don't think the first half was that bad, if I'm honest with you. We could have conceded 4-5 once it went to 2-0, but I think it was end-to-end. I don't think we took our chances. But yeah, what did you make of the Liverpool game as well, man?
Right, so yeah, so the Liverpool game, I've got to be honest, man.
There as well.
Yeah, when we went up there, we was all saying, listen, man, we want the players to, like, show out, because it's all about Liverpool today, isn't it? It was their first game back after winning the title.
Guard of honor.
Don't forget they'd lost the previous week against Chelsea. A lot of their fans weren't happy with that performance. So they was expecting the big party. They had the guard of honor. I mean, even before the game, being up there in the city, it was a nice day. Beer red, all the fans are out singing. There was like impromptu concerts outside the stadium, you know what I mean? And we was all looking at each other thinking, yeah, man, these men are going to be on it today. That's Liverpool. So what we got to do, we got to show out. You know what I mean? We got to show the right attitude, show some integrity, not just for Arsenal Football Club, but for the league. You can't just go up there and swallow it. You're in the lines there and you got to perform. So we were saying, if players show the right attitude, it will be a good game, because, you know, Liverpool are on it. So the game starts now. I thought, for me personally, for the first 5-10 minutes, I thought we were as equal to Liverpool. In fact,
yeah,
Saka had a really good chance that a guy of his quality should really have scored. But then you could see that Liverpool were dangerous, especially on the counter. And then they score, I think it was in the 20th minute. Cody Gakpo totally marked at the near post, scored goal. That was poor. And then within a minute of that, we concede again. Now, at that point, man, I looked to my left and right, and everyone's like, rah, this is going to be a long day. And it was hot, brethren. You know, you can imagine. Because where we were, there was the stand. There was no shade. So the heat was just beating down, man. And everyone was looking at each other at halftime thinking, no, this
could get very dark for us.
Seriously wrong. This could go seriously wrong. But to be fair to the manager, and I don't know what he said to them at halftime. I'd love to have been a fly on the wall. I reckon he cursed them out, because in the second half, they came out and they did show the kind of heart and resilience and character that we wanted them to show. And I think that getting that first goal, our first goal, so quickly after the restart helped. We grew into the game. And by halfway through that game, Deluded, we were saying, yo, man, hey,
might nick this.
Good. We get the second goal. Odegaard decides he's going to shoot, which is great, because that's what we've been calling for weeks. Really good shot. Unfortunately, not to score. Mourinho, to his credit, he read it well. His instincts took him there, got the second goal. And after that, to me, anyway, being at the ground, I was thinking, yeah, we're going to beat them. You know what I mean? I was thinking, yeah, man, we look the better team. We look more comfortable than them. The crowd, we quieted them down. You know what I mean? It was the Arsenal fans that were singing. And then Mourinho, stupidly, in my view, gets himself, I don't know what he's doing there. A lot of people have criticised Raya for the past, but to me, guy of Mourinho's experience and talent should not be doing that. I mean, he's basically committed a double yellow card.
Exactly.
In one play.
You can see the amount of red. We've had 6 red cards this year. It's mad.
Yeah. So then you've gone from 2-2 and looking like you're going to win to 2-2 and looking like now you're going to have to try and defend for your lives to save the game, which we did without too much discomfort. I know there was that incident at the end where they thought they'd scored, but it was clearly a foul by Konate. I think one of their guys was offside as well. So listen, the game ended 2-2, and for me, I thought a draw was a fair result. They were the better team in the first half. We were the better team in the second half. But yeah, so I thought a draw was fair.
I don't think you can disagree with that, man. You know, it's normally us that I guess if I was a Liverpool fan, I know it's of little consolation, and yeah, you want to keep standards and all of that, but you're in party mode. Your players are probably drunk. It's probably 2 points dropped for them and a point gain for us, because obviously we found 2 goals. It kind of shows our resilience and whatnot. I was impressed with Odegaard. I actually think Trossard had a good game. I think Odegaard had a good game. I actually think Martinelli looked good in the 9. But before I ask you about them kind of things, yeah, what have you made of the 6 red cards this season, man? Have we got a discipline issue? Are we being treated harshly by refs? Is it a bit of everything? Like, where are you at with it? You got to address this.
I don't go along with that Ty sort of. If you speak to Ty, shout out to Ty.
Big up Ty, man.
He will tell you that the refs have, got this big conspiracy going against them. Nah, man. I mean, if you look at those sending off. So, for example, I was at the Bournemouth game when Saliba got sent off. That was his fault, bro. He should not have done that. The minute he did that, we all knew he was going to go. The Declan Rice sending off, I thought was harsh. That one where against Brighton, I think it was, where he...
Yeah, I was there. I actually put the Brighton lad got sent off when I was at the ground. I couldn't believe Rice came off. But rules are rules.
I mean, I guess it's within the rules, but it was still harsh, man. I mean, he did delay the restart slightly, but come on, bro. That was... People
should be giving red cards or second yellows every week, I feel.
If you notice, well, they're not really doing that no more, that rule. Because
every game would finish with 10 men.
Yeah. I thought the Trossard sending off against City, I thought he was in the wrong there. He's kicked the ball away. He said he never heard it. What he's doing. But when I think he knew what he's doing. I think the Miles Lewis-Skelly one, I think that was a sending off, to be honest.
Which one, the Wolves one or the West Ham one?
Not the, which is the one where he got a straight red, didn't he, for tripping up the guy? That should have been a yellow.
I think that was the Wolves one. I could be wrong, though.
But yes, for the most part, the sending offs appeared to be largely fair or within the rules. And that doesn't help, does it? Because as soon as you go down to 10 men, your chances of winning a game of football are pretty much gone.
Slim.
Yeah, pretty much gone. Unless you're like 3-4 ahead before it happened. And then when you're getting sent off against the likes of City and teams like that, you know what I mean? When you ever get sent off against a good team, like, so for example, Liverpool, you're not going to win that game. Because like I said, yeah, because up until that point when Mourinho got sent off, we were really looking. We all felt in the ground that Arsenal were going to go on and win that game.
Kills your momentum.
Yeah. As soon as that happened now, the whole game, the whole dynamic changes. You go from attacking to having to defend what you got.
Yeah.
I mean, the mindset changes. So yeah, I do, in answer to your question, I do think that they definitely do have to address that, because you're not going to win games of football when you go down to 10 men. And obviously the margins are tight at the top. Yeah. So when you're dropping points like that, it's not a good look.
And it sucks, man, because then you look at it, like we've gone 746 days unbeaten against the big six. And there was a time, during the Emirates, there was a time these kind of games, they were instant write-off. We used to get embarrassed. And I would say of recent, I was maybe when it was 2-0 at Anfield, as you're saying, you was at the ground, maybe the PTSD might have been kicking in with the supporters that, we might hold a drum in here. It's a mix. This is what I mean about Arsenal. Like, there's a mixed bag. I don't think we're as good as some people make out. I definitely don't think we're as horrible as people make out. I just feel this season we've stagnated, we've regressed. There's been an air of complacency. There's obviously been refs and injuries, and everything's just gone wrong, man. And I think, I look at the 2022-23 season. So the year Martinelli was great and whatnot. We was great in the final third, or a good attacking side. We needed to improve defensively. Last year, we was a good defensive side. I don't feel there's a standout kind of attribute this year in comparison to both of them, both of the previous years. So that's where I'm with you in that. Obviously, he's the Arsenal manager, Arteta. There's a lot he needs to learn. But I would say for him as a manager, this could be a serious season of reflection. Before I ask you about a couple of individual performances, appreciate this from BG, my moderator. It kind of is a decent question. He said, DG/Laurie, or she better yet, what's your perspective on the mentality of the squad with the top teams who have an open style of play? They do well. Mid/low blocks are a problem, and they usually capitulate/underperform. What do you reckon to that?
Yeah, I reckon there's some truth to that. We definitely have a problem in breaking teams down. And I spoke earlier about style of play. And one of the things I'd like to see the manager work on in the close season, I mean, obviously we got friendlies and stuff like that. I'd like to see him work on that, we need a plan B in terms of our style of play, because what we've been is very predictable. So when we play teams that adopt the low block, what they tend to do, they sit deep, right? And then they'll force us out wide. And then, you know what I mean? We're having trouble getting behind them. We're not shooting enough. We're not direct enough. And you need to mix it up a little bit, you know what I mean? Because if a team sits deep, think about it, right? Everything's in front of them. It's not, I wouldn't say it's easy for them, but it's easier than if you mix things up. You know what I'm saying? So you've got to have a plan B when a team's play like that. Obviously, you're going to try and pass through the lines. But if it's not working, you've got to go wide. You know what I mean?
You've got to disrupt the shape.
And especially when you're getting, right? I mean, you look at some of our games. I looked at some of the stats the other day. Some of those games that we drew, right? we were getting in those games upwards of 70% possession. Now, when you're getting much possession, you should be having more shots on goal. You know what I mean? You've seen that when you shoot, bro, that second goal, that crucial second goal that got us back in it against Liverpool, that was Odegaard shooting from outside the box, right?
Off the cuff.
What Mourinho does, he's clever. He follows in, and look, he's able to head it past the keeper.
Well, I tell you in Sunday League, expect the keeper to spill it or something to happen.
Exactly. So when you shoot, things happen. We don't shoot enough. The amount of times we get the ball on the edge of the box and we're passing. And you see it as a fan, you know, you see the space open up. You think, go on. Like, I'm like, bro, shoot. If the keeper saves it, or even if it goes in row Z, as long as you're not doing that all game, the fans ain't going to mind too much. What we don't like is when you don't chance it, because it makes it look like either you can't shoot or you're not confident in your shooting.
Yeah, like you're hesitant.
Exactly. And that is one way you can break down a low block, because if a team is just sitting deep and giving you the ball, then utilize that. You know what I mean?
And that's the annoying thing.
Wingers need to be a bit more direct. I mean, Martinelli, to be fair, has been doing this more in recent weeks. I think probably the coaching staff have had a word with him and say, look, go after your fullback, use your pace. To me, he got the better of Conor Bradley and all them, man, at the weekend.
He loves playing Liverpool.
Yeah. Have confidence in yourself to go past the man. That's what Dembele did to us in the first game. He was giving Timber a warm time. I've not seen anyone handle Timber like that previously. He got the ball and he was very aggressive with his intent. And with that intent comes either you beat your man, you play tricks in his mind. You think, raw, man, Deluded.
You don't have to go left, right, inside. Yeah.
Or what tends to happen is you can draw fouls. Once you've drawn a foul from your fullback, now you kind of half got him, because he's got to be very careful in how he plays against you. You know what I mean? So you get the ball, Raya should throw the ball out to him, and him thinking, right, I'm going to take him on. If he brings me down,
he's on a yellow, he's in trouble.
Yeah, he's either going to get a red card or give away a free kick or maybe a penalty. You know what I'm saying? So there's so many different nuances.
Street smart.
That you can try and utilize to, combat teams that play this low block stuff. Because the one thing they're going to do is give you a lot of the ball. And then when you've got a lot of the ball, obviously you've got more chances of scoring with the ball than without.
Do you think it's down to the players or the coach? Because as much as I agree, and I think, the best players are leaders. I don't know if Arteta told Odegaard have a shot. I've actually seen Odegaard's getting back to his best, because I didn't come to anything, but he had a decent shot against Donnarumma for PSG, forced to save, and obviously his shot has led to a spill. So maybe he's getting back to his best. But do you feel it's on the players to be protagonists and go off the cuff, or do you feel, as much as we're frustrated about like the slow regiment movement, do you think they're just ultimately doing what the manager's telling them to do?
I think ultimately they are doing what the manager does, because he's the manager. He sets the tactics, and what he'll probably say to him, look, if you're not going to do as I tell you to do, then he won't play.
You're not playing.
So we have to assume that it's him. However, sometimes players need to, take ownership. So, and I'll give you a very good example of that. So if you remember against Real Madrid, when Gyökeres, remember the
I know what it's
the advice from the bench was to chip it in, and even Odegaard was doing that whole thing. Yeah, Gyökeres said, "No, man, you know what I mean? I'm going to have a go here," and look what happened. That's what I'm talking about. So that is a player taking ownership and saying, "No, I'm confident. I see the space. I've got the ability. I'm going to try it." Now, had it not have got in now, maybe the manager might have been expressing his frustration. But every now and again, as a player, you've got to take ownership. They're big men. They've been playing football from their kids.
Some of them are fathers.
Players. They're internationals. They've got talent. You know what I mean? So I would like to see Arsenal next season just mix it up a little bit, man. We know we're a possession-based team that played control football. The whole world knows that. But give it a different look at times, man. You have to.
Replenish it, man. Renew it, and
Yeah.
just keep them guessing. That's what I mean. I think Arteta, that's kind of what I was saying about like last year was good defensively. The year before that was good in attacking sense. I think we've not really. There's nothing new that I can see. Like evidently, if I was a casual viewer and I cut like 10 games from each of the previous 3 years that I'm really learning, and that's where I agree.
I'll give you another example. Remember that game we had with Thomas Partey with the long throws? I hadn't seen that previously, but that initially that worked really well, and it was.
You just need other ingredients to it, yeah.
Yeah, people say, "Oh, look at them, look long throw." I said, yo, it don't matter, man. You know what I mean? If one of them long throws works and it goes in, everyone's crisp with that. No one's gonna say, "Oh, it was a long throw," blah blah blah. At the end of the day, I didn't even know Partey was on that, and it worked.
I didn't know I had that in his locker. To be fair,
yeah, and it worked really well. The first couple of times he did that, it nearly worked. So you know, I'm not one of them snobby football fans, man. I don't mind Raya going long every now and again.
We were doing that a lot more last year.
What you know what it's like, right? And I know you play football in defense. When that ball goes over your head, or it's looking like it's going over your head, there's that split second sometimes of indecision. If you've got a pacey winger or forward, you know, I mean, I've seen City do it with Haaland. Long ball over the top,
running behind gun.
Yeah, Haaland runs in, pressurizes the centre back. He's in a little bit of hesitation mode. Haaland nicks it off him, goes on one-on-one and scores. It does, you know what I mean? Well, at the end of the day, if you score, there's no asterisk against. It's not like
they all count.
There's an asterisk against that goal because it was a long ball or a long throw. It's goal, simple as that.
Simple as that. I want to ask you as well before it evades me. What did you think of Martinelli and what do you think of Martinelli as a number 9? And what did you think of Odegaard's general performance across the 90 minutes against Liverpool? Is he back to his best?
Yeah, good questions. We'll start with Odegaard first. I was really happy to see Odegaard improve because let's be honest, man, his form recently has been pretty well below par what we expect. I mean, we're talking about a guy that's a captain. He's a number 10. He's supposed to be a creative player. I mean, you're talking about a guy that was like back-to-back player of the season for Arsenal. And this season, especially since he got that illness or injury. No, it was an injury, wasn't it? He got injured for Norway. And then he got ill soon after that. His form has not been good, to say the least. But there have been signs in the last couple of games, man, that he's coming back to form a little bit and getting his confidence back, which is great. So, yeah, let's hope that that continues for the last couple of games of the season, and that come next season, he comes back a new man. I think with was it Martinelli you said, right?
Yeah, Martinelli
was really good against Liverpool, man. I mean, one of the things you appreciate when you're at the games, which is why I like going to as many games as I can, even though I work for AFTV in the studio. One of the things you appreciate is the amount of work these guys do off the ball. Now, Martinelli,
so selfless.
Yeah, he was running non-stop, and he was quick as well. He's very explosive. He's a very explosive athlete. I would say he's the quickest player in our team, and
probably is.
Yeah, and he gives defenders problems. I mean, he gave Connor Bradley world of problems, man. You know what I mean? So much so that Connor Bradley, you know what I mean? And I thought he looked good. He looked threatening, and yeah, I mean, I've got no problem with him going through the middle every now and again, but that shouldn't preclude the fact that we need a striker. All this false 9 and playing guys through the middle. I just hope that the manager and Andrea Berta and them, man, listen, they know they're not stupid, man. We need a striker. It's a
serious 9 regardless. And if you get that 9, train Martinelli to be a 9. Do all the other stuff, but yeah, man.
I mean, we do need to strengthen in a few positions, but the absolute priority should be a striker, because I think we're a couple of players short of a really good team. I think we're a good team now with some very good players, and I think that on our day we're capable of raising the bar and putting in some very good performances like the Real Madrid one. You know what I mean? However, I think that there are a few areas which we just fall short. So I would
let us know the areas.
We're a good team. We're not a very good team yet. Not this season, anyway.
We're a good team, but we need to become a great team. And I think that's centered around recruitment. What areas for you? Obviously, you said it, I've said it. Striker, we know we need that. What else?
Striker, I think midfield needs strengthening. I know we got Zubimendi. I'm excited to see what he's going to bring. I'll be honest with you, I wanted Partey to stay, man. I think Partey is a very good player, man. I think he goes under the radar of a lot of fans.
Player of the season shout for us, to be fair.
Definitely. He's definitely in with a shout of that. Fullbacks, I think we were right. Maybe we could strengthen at the back there, because we've seen with Gabriel out, that was a big miss. Although Kiwior's come in and done a good job, I would say. But if you're looking in terms of winning titles and stuff like that, major
and removing the romance,
you need a squad. But definitely a striker is an absolute no-brainer. And when I say striker, Deluded, I don't mean no disrespect, man, but I'm hearing us linked with Sesko. Listen, Sesko will be a very good player. I think we need somebody more polished, more proven. You know what I mean? I think you're looking at Isak, although I don't think we're going to get him, to be honest. A Gyökeres, someone like that. A proven goal scorer that we can rely on to score goals in those games where, the odd goal here and there is going to make the difference.
Sometimes when we've been shit and we can just nick a win, because there's an element of that. Like, we've got 14 draws. Imagine that was half. Exactly. I don't know the conversations we'd still be in going into the last 2 games of this season. Unfortunately, it's not
crucial. I mean, a couple of seasons ago, Man City, you know who their second striker was? Alvarez. Yeah, that's the kind of levels and he was their second striker. You know what I mean?
And we all know he was their number one.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? Even City this season, Haaland's been out. Mamouche has come in, and I think he's got something like 13 goals already.
Baller.
You know what I'm saying?
You never get them little kind of players, man.
You know what I mean? So you need guys that can put the ball in the back of the net. Football at this level is a relatively low-scoring game. Most games are decided by the odd goal or the odd goal or two. Having a really good striker in your team. Because, listen, a team like Arsenal, we're always going to create chances. Even against PSG, we had chances, but we didn't take them. That's the difference.
Can't finish our dinner.
Yeah. In that second game was a perfect example of what I'm talking about. For those first 15 minutes, we looked really good, right? I think I made a count of it. We created 5 decent chances, 2 very good chances. Remember, Gyökeres missed the header, and there was somebody, I think it was Mourinho or somebody else.
Mourinho, Rice. I think Saka might have even had one.
Yeah.
I'm sure
so
there
were 5 chances, 2 or 3 pretty good chances. 1 was a really good chance. We didn't take it. What happens after that? The 16th minute, and I remember it well, they went down the other end and they hit the bar, and I'm thinking, rah.
Warning sense.
Yeah, about 5-6 minutes after that, they scored. That's what I'm saying about, like, taking your chances. And then after they scored that goal, they were always going to win that game. I mean, okay, Saka pulled one back, but they even missed a penalty and went through. You know what I mean? So,
like you said, at this level, it's a low-scoring game. It's about how you take your chances, man.
You know what I'm saying? You have to, especially against the better teams, because no team at the top level are going to dominate the other team for 90 minutes plus. The other team are always going to have their moments. So that's why when you're on top, you have to do your absolute best to try and score, because you know the other team's going to get a chance or two. And if they take one of them, then you're up against it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, I mean, listen, everybody in the world knows that Arsenal need a striker. So I'll be very interested.
Stevie Wonder could see we need a forward.
Yeah, exactly. So, Andrea Berta, mate, and Arteta, it's over to you.
Like you said, and that sets us up well for the closing part of this year. I've got a bunch of transfer news I want to run over you. How big of a job is it that Berta has? And, like, are we being a bit unfair to Berta? And what I mean by unfair is, obviously, you see his proven experience, what he's done at Atletico Madrid, the fact that he's a proven winner. Like, are we expecting too much in essentially a matter of months from this guy?
Not really. No, because he comes with a big reputation. You look at his CV, man. He's done very well. Atletico in particular. I hope the board back him. You know what I mean?
Have to back him.
There's no point in bringing a guy of that status here if you're not going to back him. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, personally, I was a little bit concerned at the way Edu left the club. We've still not really got to the bottom of that, to be honest. I mean, I know it's history now, but I thought it was a little strange that the leaving of Edu. But anyway, that's in the past. with this guy, they've got to back him. I do, looking at his CV and looking at what all the people
so good
say about him, it appears that he is the type of man that can make things happen. Let's hope that they do. I mean, even if he doesn't get Isak or Gyökeres, there will be other guys out there. You know what I mean?
Remember when he signed Luis Suarez? But with all due respect to Luis Suarez, but someone that was considered past it, they signed a forward in Atletico. They won the league. It's that kind of ability to pivot.
Exactly.
Like you mentioned, January. Imagine we did something like that in January. There might be different conversations.
Yeah. Well, we could have had Ollie Watkins in January. I think that would have made sense. Okay, the other side of 30 or whatever people are saying, but to me, I call those things an investment. When you bring in guys that are good, I mean, look at Villa. They brought in Rashford and Asensio. Look at the way they've improved their teams. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, recruitment is absolutely key.
Vital.
Level of football that we're talking about, absolutely key.
Berta's got quite the job, man. And apparently all the journalists are saying the main focus will be on a striker. And those within the club say there are now so many options. There's no excuses. Now, for me, and I preach this to all the fans, by all means, talk about the transfers, be hopeful. I give the club all the luxury until September the 1st or whether the market closes. When that is closed, and if we ain't got certain things, then we have a lot of things to say. Apparently, man, we've been told we can sign Gyökeres. Is he the one for you? Do you have any concerns about the Portuguese league?
No, I don't. I like the look of him. I'll be honest with you, my first choice would have been Isak because I think Isak is a wonderful player, man. I've seen that guy. I've seen him destroy us at the Emirates.
He bullied us enough times.
Yeah. And with the reason why I'm such a big admirer of Isak is it's not just the goal scoring that he brings to the team. He's a baller, man. I mean, he can play, he can assist, he can hold the ball up well, bring others into play. He links play beautifully. He's very intelligent. He's stronger than he looks as well. I mean, he's not a hench guy, as we all know, but he can handle himself in the physicality stakes, you know what I mean? But with Gyökeres, it's interesting because I remember Gyökeres first came on my radar when I saw him play against Luton in the Championship playoffs a few seasons ago when Luton got promoted.
You need to become
I used to live in Luton back in the day. So obviously I keep an eye on Luton's results. And I know a few people that was going to that game. And I remember watching, he was playing for Coventry at the time. And I remember watching this guy. I was like, "Rah, this is you, man." Because he was the best player on the pitch without any shadow of a doubt that day. And I remember thinking, you know, like when you watch a game of football and you're not expecting someone to stand out, but they do. So
you're like, yeah, what's this lad about?
His name kind of stayed in my subconscious. And then I started hearing how he was blowing up the spot at Portugal. Man, I said, yeah, that's the same guy I saw give Luton so many problems that day. You know what I mean? And like, here we are now. He's actually, it's interesting, right, Deluded, because he's Swedish, yeah, and so is Isak. And he starts for Sweden in that number 9 role ahead of Isak. They tend to play Isak a little bit out wide to accommodate.
We've got agendas to run, man. That just tells me bringing both, man. Isak left wing, Gyökeres through the middle, man. No, and then I have to wake up at the dream.
How good Gyökeres is. The fact that the Swedish national coach has given him the number 9, basically. You know what I mean? So I would, and you can't argue with his goal scoring stats. You could talk about the Portuguese league, but you can't argue with the goal scoring stats. So
you got to put the ball in the back of the net. People cry.
Exactly. There's a part to that. There's skill. So when I hear people like Roy Keane and then man dissing Haaland and saying all he does is score goals, I'm like, yeah, that's ridiculous. That's what he's on the pitch for.
I wish we had a man who could just only score goals.
Remember they used to say the same thing about Aubameyang, Deluded. Yeah, but he's lazy or he don't do anything apart from score.
And then when you got someone like Jesus who does the assisting, you don't get enough goals. So he's like, you can't really win. I'd rather a striker who just puts the ball in the back of the net.
I don't want my striker tracking back. I want my striker to put the ball in the back of the net. I'm not saying that he should be lazy. Obviously, you got to do some defensive work. But I always, whenever you see a striker dropping deep to get the ball or chasing back, that is not really a good sign. You want your striker to be doing his damage in the final third of the pitch. I mean, I'm not sure if you heard the comments from Mo Salah recently. He was saying that when Arne Slot rocked up at the club, they sat down and they had a conversation. And Mo Salah said to Arne Slot, he said, look, you know, previously I was asked to do a lot of tracking back. It affected my game. If you want to get the best out of me, you need to let me run riot
stay up there
up the pitch. And I'm a big believer in that. You know what I mean? Yes, there are times where you need to defend and, you know, put a shift in, fine. But we want you up the other end of the pitch because you will get chances. And like I said, goals win games.
And they win you titles and trophies. And for me, it's a thing, Laurie, where also, like, you could argue, kind of piggybanking off what you said about the Salah thing, attack can be a form of defense. Like, how much we see Bukayo Saka, there's like 5-6 players around him. If you're a manager playing Arsenal on the weekend, I wonder how much you think about, on a normal day, I might want to do X, Y, Z, but they've got one of the best right wingers. I need players to stay back. So if you factor in that and a striker, how much does that play a part? And fair enough, in you know, you want Gyökeres to score goals, but maybe Saka and Gyökeres are being locked down. And next one that's under the radar could go through and things like that. Like you said at the beginning, and I think it's the comment of the live stream, that there's no way around it. It's evident we need a 9. What do you make of this with Kiwior? Yeah, because apparently Arsenal want to give him a new deal. We've signaled that to his camp. Apparently he wants to leave though because he wants to get regular first team football. Like, would you sell him while his stocks are high, or where we at with him?
I would listen. You know, with it, I'm kind of neutral, to be honest. I think if they get a good offer, I think it's incumbent upon him to sell. But if he was to stay, I wouldn't have a huge problem because I do think that since he come into the team with Gabriel out, he's shown that he can do a job. And you got to
whisper it, but he might have been better than Saliba. I'm going to whisper it though. He might have. Like,
nah, I don't think so, bro.
I think he's held Saliba's hand, man. I can't lie, but I don't want to discredit my guy in case he's having second thoughts about playing for Real Madrid.
I mean, he's done well. I mean, you know, when Gabriel first got injured, everyone was like, "Oh no, man, what are we going to do?" Some people were even saying to play Ben White. He's a right-sided centre back.
I thought the season was over. I'll be real.
Yeah, but to be fair to Kiwior, I was one of those that said, "No, trust Kiwior. I want to see what this guy's got." And to be fair, he has played well. You got to remember as well, you know, Kiwior is not no mug. He's played in the Serie A. He's captain of Poland, I believe. He's a Polish international, definitely. So
Lewandowski always bigs him up.
Why he might want to play football, because the man's a Polish international. We've got the World Cup and all that coming up. He's thinking, "Nah, man, I'm too good to be on the bench every week." I mean,
that's a good point, actually.
Yeah. So, but I think if, like I said, I'm neutral. I wouldn't necessarily rush him out the club, but in the meantime, if we get a good offer for him, I do think that money could be used in order to get the striker that we want. Because getting a striker and strengthening midfield, because I think you could argue that given the level of Odegaard's performances this season, we need to strengthen that midfielder, number 10. Playmaker.
I think we need 2 midfielders, man. Like I think we do. I just don't know how much a 10 is on these lots figures. I think they're looking at Zubimendi. I don't. It's an interesting one because I think Partey might stay and Zubimendi comes in. You could argue that if that's the case, is Zubimendi necessarily better than Partey? I think we want a left winger, we want a striker. I think we probably are likely to buy goalies and left backs. If we do all of that and some outgoings, then we might look at someone that can compete with Odegaard. I think the club, my personal opinion is they're aware of that, but I don't think it's too high up the thingy. Like, we got young Max Dolman coming through and Wanyeri. I think they're going to air it. But someone who could play in Odegaard's role and others, like apparently Cunha is going to go to Man United and he still favours that. But apparently his reps have scheduled talks with Arsenal and Newcastle. What are you saying for Cunha in theory?
I like Cunha, very good player. I do think there are some question marks though. It would appear that
let us know.
His I don't really want to say his attitude, but you know, I mean, his discipline,
obvious reasons,
is questionable at times. You know what I mean? But I do like him. He is a very good player. I think he's the type of guy that will definitely enhance Arsenal if he was come to them. But yeah, I do think there are certain question marks about him. So he gets himself sent off, gets himself into arguments with other players. Apparently,
maybe we need them kind of use, man.
Yeah, but from what I'm hearing in the grapevine, he's not the best in terms of how he interacts with his own teammates. Apparently, there's been some issues.
We're not going for him.
Yeah, so do you think Arteta would take a chance?
Yeah, once you hear all of that, Laurie, you know what time it is. Yeah. He's not playing.
I mean, listen, I don't know for sure. Don't quote me on it, but that's something that I've heard through the grapevine that teammates have kind of looked at him and he's a bit of a prima donna.
Gabriel Magalhaes will sort him out, man.
On that, sometimes you get guys when they're a big fish in a relatively small pond like Wolves.
Exactly.
They can get away with that shit. But if he goes to Man United, he probably won't.
You'll get broke up for less than that.
Maybe some of the
Get out of
other
that.
players will let him know and say, yo, listen, man, maybe you did that award, but you're not going to do that here.
Yeah, them styles ain't working over here, man. My last one for you then, man. I'm sure, obviously, you must have heard about this, but Rodrigo to Arsenal rumors are heating up. Whether we get him is a completely other thing.
That
But
would
in
be
theory,
amazing. That would be amazing.
Where would he play for you? I might put him in Odegaard's role, if I'm honest.
Well, this is it. This is what I'm saying. I mean, a guy like that is an attacking midfielder. So, yeah, but I can't see him leaving Madrid, though. Can you?
No, unless someone makes an offer they can't refuse. I mean, some say that he's up. I don't know how true these things are because you know how journalists are, but they say that he's not really happy that Vinicius, Mbappe, Bellingham, them man get the limelight. Obviously, we've got stars here, but he could get it here. I don't know, man. I don't know. It just seems like an easy one because he's kind of on the periphery of things. I don't know. And even if he is available, you'd imagine Arsenal, Chelsea, PSG, anyone who could scratch some pennies together, they're gonna go for him.
That is a great point. I mean, everybody's going to want these strikers. You know what I mean? What do you think of Osimhen? Some people saying that Arsenal should try and make because I mean, I know he's playing in the Turkish league and he said he's happy there, but I would imagine that if a big club come in and, you know,
bring him, man. Bring him. Like, because I think with Osimhen, it's a weird one because I look at it in the same way I look at Ivan Toney. And what I mean by that is, to me as a normal football fan, I see a man that, well, with Tony's that you're talking, you want to leave, etc., etc. And there's many clubs that need the forward. Even people like United and Chelsea had more money than sense. But then nobody moved for you. So is it one of them where if you're working in football, you know there's something a bit dodgy about him? I just think with Osimhen, I think Napoli are going to want too much money. He probably wants too much money in terms of weekly wages. His agent probably wants bread. But I think Osimhen's a gunman. I think he'd be happy in London. I think one big thing that people fail to remember about him is what he's done. I know people say Turkish league, but what he's done it in Turkey, he's done it in Italy, he's actually done it in France. He's been about. So all of that, can he do it in the Prem stuff? Out of all the people we're linked with, Osimhen's probably on paper the most likely to adapt, and he's a cold-hearted killer, man. I would take a lot of the strikers we're linked with, whether it's Sesko, Gyökeres, Osimhen. Who's the other one? Isaac, which we're not gonna get. I just want a forward, man. I need us to sign a striker. I think it's unacceptable if we don't, Laurie, man.
Yeah, because the reason why I mentioned Osimhen as well is because I remember going back and forth with my brother Robbie because he's a big admirer of Osimhen. I wasn't so much because I remember seeing him in AFCON. I watched all of Nigeria's games.
Yeah, but you know AFCON, like it defies all logic. You see Mo Salah getting pocketed by shopkeepers and that.
Yeah, people saying don't watch that. But I must say, whenever I've seen him play, I've not been overly impressed. But you can't argue with the stats. And also, I remember reading something recently where even some of the Turkish journalists are saying, look, Osimhen is almost too good for that Turkish league, which is amazing that they would say that. So when I read that, I was like, rah, you know what I mean? If they're saying that, then probably Osimhen will leave if one of the bigger clubs come in for him. I know Chelsea were linked with him at one time.
See, yeah, they're forever linked with him. Apparently, he's a Chelsea fan growing up and whatnot.
Well, that's what I heard as well. But
John Obi Mikel on his podcast was going on the offensive, saying Osimhen, come and join us and whatnot. When you got your fellow countrymen and Chelsea legends saying that, oof.
Yeah. But I could see him moving on from there, definitely. Because like I said, I've been reading some of the journalists in the Turkish league are saying that Osimhen is almost too good for that league, that they don't expect him to stay. So that's an interesting development. So there are strikers out there, man.
And there's no excuse, man.
Andrea Berta has got to get that Rolodex and then, you know what I mean, get his phone out and start ringing up man and having those conversations.
He ain't sleeping a whiff in the next few months. I'll tell you that much. Him and his team and that Jason Ito brother, they need to be working 24/7 to make sure we've got what we've needed. And I don't want to bring this back to Mikel Arteta, but the more, because some fans will say he hasn't got everything, the board let him down. Give this man everything he needs. And I hope we get over the line. But then conversations might have to take place next season, man. Like
I think where a lot of fans got the issue with him is that he's on the record himself last season saying that we didn't need a striker. Remember that he was happy with Havertz. Now we all know that. No disrespect to Havertz, but he ain't that guy, man. For me, he's more like a second striker. What you bring on when you want to change things up a bit,
rotation and that, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But we need in that number 9, that person who gets that number 9 shirt has got to be the guy that we can rely on. I know it's a big ask, but we got to be relying on him for at least 15 or 20. At least. You know what
If you're not getting 20 goals, you should not be wearing the number 9 or number 14 for this football
because
club. I'll be real.
Arsenal, we know that they see a lot of the ball. We know that create a lot of chances. You, like I said, go back and look at the stats of Arsenal games. In a vast majority of those games, Arsenal enjoy the more possession. They would have created the more chances. Like I said, 14 draws tells its own story. You know what I mean? We should not be dropping that many points. So, you know what I'm saying? We need a striker, and we need a good striker, not no regular striker, not no young guy that's got potential.
They made us wait long enough. We need a gunman, as you said earlier. We need that. Someone that we think is going to be up there for the golden boot and whatnot, like what we had with Aubameyang and many before him.
I mean, to be fair to Arteta and Berta, they might sign a striker that none of us have really heard of that much, that might be operating in a league, say in, I don't know, Europe or some other.
As long as they can score goals, I don't even mind.
Exactly. But if they turn out to be that guy, then even better. But
they have to be a killer. No more Mickey Mouse. I'm a facilitator, bro. Gunman forward. Minimum.
Which is why I don't know about you. I'm not overly enthused with Sesko. Not because I don't rate him as a player. It's just that I've seen him play.
We need guys right now ready.
He doesn't appear to be a finished article. He looks like a guy that's a work in progress. In
an ideal world, in my opinion, you sign, but we're not going to get Isaac. You might get Gyökeres, but you sign one of them, man, and then this guy comes in and you facilitate, you rotate. But then you've got Havertz and Marino. It's probably not realistic. I actually think Sesko can play out wide as well, but it wouldn't be pretty. But then there are people that say he could be one of the best strikers in the world. For me, Laurie, I'm past the point of caring who we get up front. I'll be real. Whether it's an unknown Donny, like you said, or a household name, get me my striker, and then I can praise and critique him later, man. I need to see it. Credit to Havertz, credit to Marino. Not saying they can't play up front, but gunman forward and then all these other things, because we're only doing these things because we have to. And although it's courageous at times in that getting to semi-finals with no striker, I don't want to say it's stupidity, but it kind of is when you just look at it with no emotion. You're bringing a blunt knife to a gunfight where you're looking at the semi-finals. It's not making sense, man. Let people know they can find you, man, because I know we're pressed for time.
Right, so yeah, man, as most people know by now, I'm on AFTV. You can catch you on their programs. I do a lot of content on there. I've also got my own channel now, LL Sports TV. Do a lot of football, do a lot of boxing stuff. And yeah, man, that's where I'm at. You can catch me on Insta as well, LL at whatever it is. You know, but yeah. But yeah, man, I'm out there. So I'd appreciate it, man. Like I said, I've got my own channel now. And I do a lot of stuff for there. I've got to get you on there, Deluded, man.
I keep telling you this, man. Just line it up. I'll be there, man. I keep saying this every time you're here, man. I'm waiting on the call.
After the Newcastle game.
Yeah, shout me, man. We'll get it done.
Yeah, we'll
people again, check the title out. Laurie's not doing it justice. Just check the title of this current live stream that we're on. Click it. It will hyperlink. Subscribe. It doesn't cost a thing, man. And yeah, man, I'll be on the show whenever he needs me.
Man, thanks. I've enjoyed it. It's almost like a therapy session.
Yeah, I feel a lot better about my team. Not that we're suddenly going to win trophies in what's left of the season, but I feel a lot better, man. So yeah, man, pick up yourself for this.
Ending this current season, obviously, just 2 games left now. I'm already, like you, looking forward to what happens in the close season with regards to transfers.
That's all we got now.
And I do think that there will be changes. There will be people coming in and out. So that's always an exciting time. And I think like next season, man, it's a lot of pressure, but it's exciting for the fans because we get to, you know what I mean, see what we do.
The content makes itself during the summer.
Yeah,
really.
exactly.
I'm excited for that.
I'm already looking forward to next season with a keen sense of anticipation. Can't wait already. And the season's not even done yet. I'm already looking forward to next season. So yeah, man.
Hopefully next year we're not Netflix FC, man. But yeah, people, like, comment, subscribe. Gonna let Laurie cut out now. Peace, my guy.
Yeah, man. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. And chat to you very soon. Nice one. Take care.
Come on, my guy. In a bit.
All right.